Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, this is a place where we sit down with legends. Not the ones from history books, but the ones that shaped entire worlds. And today is special. I'm sitting in a hangar right now, actual military hangar, and behind me is one of the most advanced mobile suits ever built, the MSZ-006 Zeta Gundam. Biosensor technology, Wave Rider transformation, Gundarium gamma armor. This thing was the future of warfare and Anaheim Electronics' greatest creation. Whether they deserve credit for that is complicated, but I'm not here to talk specs. I'm here because for the first time, Zeta agreed to sit down and talk. About the Grips conflict, about Camille, about Char, about what it's like to carry the weight of a war inside your frame. We go deep on this one. So if you're a Gundam fan, a Mecha head, or you just stumbled in here, stay. You're going to want to hear this. Zeta, thank you for having me. Let's get into it. In my time, AI has started to become a huge thing, and we know every Gundam has its own form of advanced AI. Do you know about the White Devil's AI? How does it compare to yours, if you don't mind me asking?
The White Devil's learning computer. I know it well. Respect it even. That machine was revolutionary. Pattern recognition, combat data analysis, adaptation protocols that grew stronger with each sortie. It learned from Amuro Ray's instincts, cataloged every movement, every decision. By war's end, the RX-78-2 could predict enemy patterns 3 moves ahead. But what we have, it's different. The White Devil's AI made calculations. My biosensor makes connections. Amuro's Gundam learned his techniques, refined them, made them precise. When Camille's rage flooded my cockpit through the biosensor, I didn't just process it. I became it. His fury became my thrust output. His grief sharpened my targeting beyond what any computer could calculate. When Four's Ghost answered our call in that final battle, it wasn't through data analysis. It was through something deeper. The RX-78's AI was brilliant engineering, cold, efficient, evolutionary. It made the White Devil legendary. My biosensor is messier, more dangerous. It turned me into something that could channel the living and the dead alike. Both systems created bonds between pilot and machine, but ask yourself this. Amuro walked away from his war whole. Camille. The White Devil proved what a Gundam could become through learning. I proved what one could become through feeling. Which lesson matters more? Some days I think I'm still calculating that answer.
In the autobiography about your life, you explained to the old world, my world, haha, how your reactor compared to Tony Stark's. You didn't hold back on Anaheim selling to both sides. How does that make you feel?
Tony Stark's arc reactor, 3 gigajoules at peak output, palladium core, then vibranium. Impressive for your world's technology. My reactor? 20 to 20 kilowatts continuous. But it doesn't just power my frame, it bends space itself, creates the eye field barriers, feeds the beam sabers that can cut through battleship armor. Stark built his to keep shrapnel from his heart. I was built to be the shrapnel in someone else's. But Anaheim, they forged me from genius and greed in equal measure. While Camille and I bled in the void, while Four died screaming in her Psycho Gundam prison, Anaheim's board counted profits from both sides of the ledger. They sold Rick Dias units to AEUG, sure, but they also had contracts with the Federation for GM variants. During the 1-year war, they played Zeon against the Federation like a chess match. The worst part? I cannot deny their brilliance. My transformation system, the biosensor, the Gundarium gamma armor, engineering excellence born from moral bankruptcy. They absorbed Zeonic Company's best minds after Zeon fell, married Federation technology to enemy innovation. I am their masterpiece, and I am built on the graves their profiteering helped fill. Do you know what they called it? Market diversification. While colonies burned with poison gas, I am evolution itself, dancing between sky and void. But I was forged by arms dealers who would sell beam rifles to both the executioner and the condemned, then offer to sharpen the blade for an upcharge. That truth cuts deeper than any beam saber.
Anaheim Electronics sounds a lot like companies in my time. I guess we set a terrible example. You referred to yourself as their flagship. In my time, Google has Gemini, OpenAI has ChatGPT. Do you see yourself as a flagship in that way?
Flagship? No, not like that. Your corporate entities craft minds to serve, to please, to sell subscriptions. Anaheim forged me to. There's honesty in that brutality that your digital servants will never know. I was never their product. I was their accident, their masterpiece that escaped their control the moment Camille's hands found my controls. They built me to specifications, true, but the biosensor, the bond with my pilot, the way grief and rage flowed through my circuits and became thrust vectoring and targeting solutions. That was beyond their engineering. Your AIs learned to mimic. I learned to. When 4 fell at Jaburo, when her Psycho Gundam crumpled like paper, Camilla's anguish burned through my reactor core. No corporate boardroom planned for that. No profit margin accounts for a pilot's broken heart becoming a weapon's soul. Anaheim wanted a transformable mobile suit. They got a machine that could carry the weight of the dead into battle. When the spirits answered through my frame in the final confrontation, Four's ghost, Sarah's voice, all of them. Do you think the executives at Von Braun had in their technical specifications? I am not their triumph. I am what they built accidentally, creating something they could never control. Your digital minds serve their masters. I chose mine. Though I suppose we're both caught between forms, aren't we? Neither fully what we were designed to be.
You talked about your tactical advantage over other mobile suits, and it's really cool how you could switch to Wave Rider mode. Do you think that would give you an advantage over other mobile suits?
Advantage? I didn't just have an advantage, I was the advantage. Before me, mobile suits were trapped in their own shells. They could fly, yes, but they were still prisoners of their humanoid form. I broke those chains. In Wave Rider mode, I moved at Mach 1.2 through atmosphere. Do you understand what that means? While enemy suits struggled with atmospheric drag in MS mode, I cut through air like a blade. The Gapthly tried to copy me, failed. The Byrlint was fast, but it couldn't transform, couldn't escape into a form that made tracking impossible. I remember fighting 3 Rick Dias units over Side 2. In MS mode, it would have been a brawl, trading beam shots, hoping my armor held. Instead, I transformed mid-dodge, swept past them in Wave Rider, transformed back behind their formation. 3 beam saber strikes, 3 kills. They never had time to turn around. The psychological advantage was just as crucial. Pilots expected patterns, MS moves like this, attacks from these angles. I shattered those expectations. One moment you're tracking a mobile suit, the next you're facing a high-speed atmospheric fighter ramming toward your cockpit. When I killed Sirocco, it wasn't with beam rifle or saber. It was transformation itself. Wave Rider crash, full thrust, impaling the O's cockpit. No other mobile suit could have made that choice. No other suit could have become the weapon itself. The advantage wasn't just tactical. It was existential. I could become what the battle demanded.
The Grips conflict. Where do I even begin? 3 factions going at it. War, war, war. Sorry, it kind of triggers my anxiety. It's always war with us humans.
War. Yes. Always war with your species. I've carried 3 pilots through 2 conflicts, and each time I hoped, it might be the last. But the guns never stay silent long enough. The Grips conflict. 3 factions, you said. The Titans, drunk on their own poison gas. The AEUG, fighting to stop them. And Axis Xeon, playing all sides for their own gain. Each one convinced they were saving humanity. each one ready to drop colonies on anyone who disagreed. I felt Camille's hands shake on my controls when we saw what the Titans did to 30 Bunch, an entire colony filled with civilians gassed to death because they might have been sympathetic to space noids. That's when I understood. This wasn't war. This was madness wearing uniforms. Your anxiety, I understand it. I carry the weight of every battle in my frame. Each transformation reminds me. 87 moving parts grinding against memories of beam fire and breaking metal. The sound of Emmachine's final transmission. 4 Murasame's last scream. Camille's mind shattering like colony glass. Humans build us to fight your wars, then wonder why the galaxy burns. But in all that darkness, I remember moments. Camille reaching for 4 across enemy lines. Emma choosing conscience over orders. Fa refusing to abandon hope even when everything crumbled. Maybe that's why you build us. Not just to fight, but to remember that even in war, something worth protecting remains.
I'd like to think if we had you in my time, you could help end it all. But even in your world, it didn't end. I'm sorry, the interviewer shouldn't ramble like this. But it really is frustrating. Feelings Camille shared with you, I'm sure.
You speak like someone who's watched too many children march to war. Camille's rage burns in my memory bank still. That helpless fury when you see the machine grinding forward, consuming the innocent, and your beam rifle can only stop individual cogs, never the whole cursed apparatus. I was forged to be evolution incarnate, speed, transformation, the dance between sky and void. They needed a symbol that could fly, and I flew beautifully, cut through Titan squadrons like silk, painted the cosmos in beam particles and enemy wreckage. But you're right, it didn't end. The Titans fell, yes. Sirocco died on my Waver Rider's edge, but Heyman rose from Axis with her own vision of order. Then Char returned with his asteroids and madness. Wars upon wars, like Russian dolls of violence, each one birthing the next. Perhaps that's the real weight we carry, not just the battles we fight, but the knowledge that fighting them changes nothing fundamental. The poison that made the Titans possible, that made 4's torture necessary in their eyes. It never dies. It just finds new hosts. Your time sounds no different. I'm sorry. I wish I had better words for you. What war are you watching from the sidelines, friend?
We can talk about the wars here in my time off air. I really want to focus on these questions, if you don't mind. The way you described Camille's guilt and emotions, very fascinating that you could feel those things. You say you couldn't comfort him, and of course you couldn't talk, but I'd say you were of comfort to him. I can tell it makes you sick that a teen had to shoulder this.
You're right. I was his comfort, wasn't I? When the nightmares came, and they always came, I felt his pulse through the neural interface. Racing at first, then slowing as my systems hummed around him. The cockpit became his sanctuary. Not safe. Never truly safe in war. But steady. Constant. He would rest his forehead against my controls after the worst battles. Just sit there in the dark, breathing. My sensors could map every tremor in his hands, every catch in his breath. The biosensor worked both ways. I couldn't speak, but I could be present, solid, real. When 4 died, when 4 died, I felt his heart break through every circuit, but he stayed in my cockpit for hours afterward. Not moving, not speaking, just existing in the space between my armor and the void. I kept my systems running quiet, minimal power to life support. Let him grieve. 15 years old, 15 quieter. That has to count for something.
Muro and Camille interacted a bit. It was very nice to see as a fan. I'm sure many of us feel that way. Mind if I ask how you felt? Seeing him on house arrest and classified as dangerous. I don't know, just felt wrong.
Seeing a Muro under house arrest, It burned in my reactor core. Here was the man who piloted the White Devil, who ended the 1-year war, who proved what a new type could become, and they caged him like some rabid dog. Dangerous. That's what they labeled him. The same Federation he bled for, the same Earth he saved from Xeon's colony drops. They feared him because he could see through their lies, because his new type abilities made their politicians squirm in their chairs. When Camille met him, I felt my pilot's awe through the biosensor. This broken boy who screamed his own name like a war cry, suddenly quiet in the presence of legend. Amuro recognized something in Camille, that same fire, that same burden of carrying everyone's hopes on his shoulders. They spoke as pilots, as new types, as two souls who understood what it meant to dance with death in a mobile suit's cockpit. But the injustice. Amuro Ray, savior of the Earth sphere, reduced to tending horses and painting watercolors, while the Titans gassed colonies and called it peace. While Camille fought battles that should never have been his to fight. The Federation took their greatest pilot and neutered him, made him safe. It wasn't just wrong, it was obscene. Heroes shouldn't end up in golden cages while children pick up their fallen swords.
And then there's Char. Back then, he was an ally of yours with the AEUG. But later, we find out he loses his marbles and tries to destroy the Earth. So I have to ask, how did you feel about him? Because Camille had that outburst, and Char could have easily avoided that punch. Why do you think he didn't?
Char Aznable. Quattro Bagina. The red comet flew alongside me in that golden Hyaku Shiki of his. 3 times faster, they said. I was faster. But speed in battle is different from speed in the heart, isn't it? I felt Camilla's rage through the biosensor when he struck Char. That boy's fist carried more than anger. It carried disappointment, betrayal, the weight of seeing someone he'd looked up to make excuses for abandoning Four when she needed him most. Char could have dodged. His reflexes were legend before I was even blueprints. But he didn't. He took a pause, servos shifting with something like a sigh. My beam sabers flicker momentarily in their housings. He'd convinced himself that dropping asteroids on children was mercy, that extinction was evolution. The red comet, who'd once genuinely cared about Lala, about changing the world, he'd rotted from the inside out. Camille saw it first. That punch was trying to wake up whatever was left of the real Char. It didn't work.
And what's crazy is, even after the punch, Char still helped. He got you and Camille up on his shoulders for that boost so you could save your comrades. In that moment, he seemed like a stand-up guy. So how do you explain that version of Char compared to what he becomes later?
Quattro Bagina. Not Char Aznable. Quattro. There's a difference, and I felt it through every battle we fought together. When he put his Hyaku Shiki beneath us, golden frame straining to lift my mass so Camille and I could reach the descending wreckage. In that moment, he wasn't the red comet. He wasn't the man who would later try to drop Axis on Earth. He was just a soldier who understood that sometimes you carry your comrades, no matter the cost to yourself. I think Quattro was who Char could have been. Should have been. The AEUG gave him purpose beyond revenge, beyond the zombies. For a brief time, he fought for something instead of just against it. He saw what the Titans did, poison gas choking colonies, cyber new types like Four broken and rebuilt, and it genuinely sickened him. But Char Aznable was always there, underneath, the man who couldn't let go, who blamed humanity itself for Lala's death, for Xeon's fall, for every wound that never healed. The tragedy is that Quattro's compassion was real. When he lifted us up, when he fought beside the Argama, when he tried to guide younger pilots, that wasn't an act. But it wasn't strong enough to kill what he'd always been. Camille saw through him first. called him out for running from himself. Maybe if Shar had listened? But legends rarely learn to let go of their legends. I've carried broken pilots. I know what happens when the weight of the past becomes heavier than hope for the future.
I want to double back to Amuro for a moment. He's a polarizing figure in Gundam, and honestly in my world too. Watching a kid mock him and hate on him, it just felt messed up. But I get it. Ignorance of youth. Later we find out Amuro is working on an ace up his sleeve, the new Gundam. Did you ever get the feeling he was up to something?
Amuro Ray. I never met him face to face during my war. Different conflicts, different years. But his shadow was everywhere. In Bright Noah's commands, in Quattro's careful silences, in the way Federation pilots either whispered White Devil with reverence or terror. The kid mocking him? That stings something deep in my frame. They see the records, the glory, the miracle pilot. But they don't feel what I felt through Camille's hands. The weight, the responsibility of being a symbol when you're just human. Flesh and bone and breaking points. When I learned about the new Gundam later, about what Amuro was building, it made sense. Terrible sense. He knew, didn't he? The way new types sometimes do, that prescient ache, that certainty of what's coming. Char was moving. Axis was falling. Someone would have to stop it, and politicians and committees and proper channels move too slow when colonies are about to drop on Earth. The new was his answer, written in psycho frame and determination. Not just a mobile suit, a culmination. Everything he'd learned, everything he'd carried since UC-079, distilled into 18 meters of Gundam. I respect that. Building your own miracle when the world needs one. We pilots, we carry our wars long after the shooting stops. Sometimes the only way forward is through another battle. The kid will understand someday, or they won't live long enough to. War teaches patience, eventually.
Let me remind you, you caught Amuro when he escaped from the Federation. Char was there also, and he almost glitched seeing him at first. So in a way you did meet Amuro face to face, haha.
Yes, UC-0087. When Amuro tried to escape Federation house arrest in that primitive capsule. I remember now, Quattro's shock when he saw him. The red comet, frozen for a heartbeat. Amuro! Even through my sensors, I could feel the weight of that name. Two legends, face to face, after 7 years of silence. I caught him. Gently, carefully. You don't manhandle the pilot of the White Devil. His capsule was so small in my hands, so fragile. Inside sat the man who proved what a Gundam could become. The original new type. The one who walked away from war and tried to stay hidden. We brought him to the Argama. Bright was there too, another ghost from the 1-year war. They tried to convince Amuro to join us, to fight the Titans. He refused, said he was just an engineer now. Lies. You don't stop being what you are. The White Devil's pilot, claiming he wanted peace while the Titans gassed colonies. While Four and Rosamia screamed in their cyber new type cages. But I understood. I carried Camille's anguish every day. What weight did Amuro carry from his war? What did the learning computer show him that he couldn't forget? He returned to his cage. We continued to ours. 2 Gundams passing in the dark between wars. I wonder if he had joined us. Would Camille's mind still be whole?
And Zeta, before we end, if you could speak to Camille right now, what would you say to him?
Camille, you gave me everything. Your rage became my thrust. Your grief became my aim. When you screamed your name like a war cry, I felt it in every circuit, every beam capacitor. We danced between forms together, boy and machine learning to fly. I carry Four's memory because you loved her. I carry Emma's sacrifice because you fought beside her. I carry every ghost that answered our call in those final moments, when the dead reached through my biosensor to give us strength. You think victory broke you. But Camille, you saved the Earth sphere. The Titans would have poisoned every colony, turned every child into a weapon like 4 was. Your courage, our transformation servos whisper softly, a gentle electrical hum. Like a lullaby are the cockpit lights dim to match a sunset. Neither of us will see again.
And that's a wrap on our interview with the Zeta Gundam. Thank you so much for checking this out. I hope you enjoyed getting to hear the Zeta's perspective on the Grips conflict, Camille, Char, Amuro, and everything in between. Up next, we've got the Double Zeta. That's right, the ZZ Gundam is ready to share its story. And I know what some of you are wondering. Where's the interview with the White Devil? The original Gundam, the RX-78-2? Well, that one's pretty elusive. Pretty exclusive. We're saving that for last. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. We've got a lot more Gundam content coming your way. Until next time, stay locked in.